Okay. Love the cheering for nothing but turning on a camera. Hi, guys. I have not been able to actually get in touch with Lolita, so I hope she shows up here. I have been texting and emailing viciously. So, but I'm going to start off just real quick here while we're waiting with a little bit of information. And I'm just going to hope that everything is okay with her because she's been responding and talking for a couple of days. And now all of a sudden, I'm not hearing from her. So it's kind of got me worried a little bit. Um, so, my name is Deanna, and I am a speaker, educator, and a coach on the topic of trauma, especially as it applies to intimate partner violence or interpersonal trauma. But what I'm doing here with this show, with the Laughter After Trauma, is to literally talk to people who have just overcome and triumphed in whatever area of life that is, to create community and connection, and to just show that we're not alone in anything that we're going through. In the area of trauma, a lot of times we feel like we are really on our own. We feel like nobody would understand. Sometimes we feel isolated. Sometimes we might feel like, how could I let this happen? What is wrong with me? And even intellectually, if we know that this has happened to other people, we still somehow manage to isolate or feel alone. And so the point of this is to just talk to people, tell the stories, bring people together in community so that you can see people that have gone through whatever various things in their lives and been able to kind of overcome or triumph over those traumas. Now, Lolita, if hopefully she shows up, and if not, I'm just going to be really nervous because it's not like her. Um, she is a person who has had her fair share. She is a person who has been in a terrible car accident. She's lost her father. She had her baby 3 months early. So she's had several things in her life. She's gone through divorce. She's had several things in her life, and I don't know her whole story because I try not to really get too deep into that beforehand, so that this organically turns into a conversation, and we're able to chat naturally here at the fireside. And so for her, I really was so intrigued to have her on here after I purchased and heard her talking about and then purchased her latest book. And that book was called Can We Talk? And it is a collection of poems. And all of the poems they start with dear something, like dear adversity, dear divorce, dear single mom, dear, and so all of these poems that she has written to express, she has just a way of expressing herself and bringing to light the emotions that come along with all of these different phases and things that she has been through in her life. So that was one of the things that totally intrigued me. I've been on a few of her shows here and on Clubhouse, and I was just like, we got to talk. Like, can we talk? So hopefully we can. I don't know. We'll see. But that was the thing that prompted me to have her on. And so then I went and did a little searching so that I would have some information for her bio and her introduction, and found that she had done a TED Talk. And I thought, oh, well, that's really cool. So I went and listened to her TED Talk, which was also really neat, because she does coaching through transitions. And that's one of the things that I thought was really cool to pair with trauma coaching, because there are so many phases that you go through, whether you're going through phases in life or whether you're going through transitions from trauma into healing. Each one of them creates their own personal um, thing that you have to approach and be able to have that awareness, wherewithal, and maybe even some mentorship to know how to walk through that. And so that's one of the areas in which she specializes. And so when I went and listened to her TED Talk, I was like, that was really interesting, because a lot. She has a lot. So I have her website in here, because, I would like you guys, it's very easy for you to find all of this stuff by going to her website. So if you are interested in any of that information, you can just head over to her website. You can find her podcast and her TED Talk and just things like that you can get to know her there. I think that's where I got her TED Talk from. Anyway, it might have been on there. I'm pretty sure. So that was the things that got me interested in talking with her, or chatting with her. So hopefully I'll get her to show up here today. But while we're waiting, and we'll see, one of the things I had planned to talk about with her is the topic of forgiveness. And if you guys in the audience want to jump up on stage and just chat with me, we can chat till she shows up. But that topic was something that I felt like I had to really approach. And I know there's a lot of differing opinions on whether or not forgiveness has to be a part of your healing process. And for me, in the 5 keys that I use to approach working through trauma, one of those keys is forgiveness. I work with forgiveness, gratitude, eliminating negative self-talk, taking care of yourself, and then ultimately loving yourself. And when you work through these 5 keys to unlock, just each little one unlocks a piece of you. And when you've dealt with trauma, and I feel like personally, if you ask me, I think that we've all experienced trauma to one level or another. People don't escape it. But in the last 2 years, I think most of us can relate to the fact that we've had some things that have been trapped and some things that have traumatized, whether it was living in fear, in this climate with a pandemic, being locked down, being isolated. For me, in the arena of intimate partner violence, that has gone up during the period where people were locked in. So somewhere in the range of anywhere from 18 to 22%, depending on what state you're in. And when you talk about that type of statistic, when 27% of all women experience this, and let me tell you something, men, the statistic is not far behind. It's something like 23, I think, percent of men. You start to recognize that could almost double in some states. And that's a really scary prospect. And so with that being said, I think that we've all been approached or have come to the edge or have experienced trauma in some way, shape, or form. I like to talk about capital T and little t when it comes to trauma, because there are things that are traumatic for us in different. Oh, hey, Lolita.
I'm,
um,
I'm so,
I'm glad you
I
made it. I was
know.
getting really
I am
worried
so
about you.
sorry. I saw Central Time and I was like, I'm on Eastern. I have some time and then lost track of time, but I am here on your fireside chat.
Look, girl, I just been improvising. Um, let me pull you up to a camera. So let's
Okay.
see. Invite to video. I was just talking a little bit just in the arena that did you get yeah, there you go. Hey, how
Hi,
you
hi
doing,
everybody.
beautiful?
So good to see you.
So I was just talking a little bit in my arena because I know that this is probably going to overlap with you. And I gave you a beautiful grand introduction, even though you weren't here, but
Thank
I'll do it a
you.
little bit again because, I want you to hear where I was coming from with our connection. But I was talking here a little bit about my background with coming from um, intimate partner violence, which is kind of the new term for domestic violence, right? It takes me a minute to kind of get the words out sometimes. But intimate partner violence and interpersonal trauma is kind of the area I come from. And then you come from transitions. And and so I thought, what a great combination. Now you already know I'm in love with your book, your latest book, because I know you have two. And I talked about your TED Talk already because I went and watched that today. So just been doing my homework. Um, but I was talking about this because I felt like it would be good to talk about how people who have to process through trauma to heal, and how that also feeds into transitions, because all of it really is. Each phase of your life is a transition. Technically all of it's transitioning, right? But I just so anyway, with that being said, let me just say that I introduced you. I let people know that you're a coach, that you work in transitions, that you've done a TED Talk, that you're a motivational speaker, that you're an author. And I think the list keeps going. Caster, um, the list keeps going everywhere. And, and so I share, what I want to share with people is I want people to get to know your story. I want them to know things that have happened in your life. And I touched on three things that I learned about you between your accident. I know you've been through a divorce. What happened with your dad? Just reading, not I don't know it, right? And about your son being born early. And so talk to me. Let's just jump into it and talk to me about how these things impacted you. What were the low points? And what did you do to transition, to move through? Because I would say losing a father, going through divorce, having a horrific accident, having a baby pulled out of your body way early, and being scared about that are all things that probably created
Yeah,
trauma.
yeah, yeah. So here's the
That's just my
thing.
guess.
Oh my goodness. So first, let me just say thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that we met. I love when people find value in my words and not only find value and say it, but really take it to heart and really it helps to shift them. So I appreciate you for even letting me know that. So thank you. And I just want to say hey to everybody who's here. Transition and trauma, I think, are two things that we always go through. We will until the time we die. I think that each of us experience trauma, but it's really how we leverage that trauma in our next steps to get through it. So I'm a certified life leadership and executive coach. I am not a therapist, but I love to tell people the difference between therapy and coaching. So if you have us at a zero line, so you are standing right here, I am standing right here. Deanna, you are standing right there. Lisa, Robert, right? We're standing right here, and imagine that's your zero line. If you go to the right, which is what I do, I take you from where you are to where you want to be. I take you and I help to leap you forward and move barriers out of your way. That's what I'm certified to do. What a therapist is licensed to do is take you from that same zero point, but help you to go to the left, backward, to really sit in the trauma that you are finding difficult to move forward with. So what I sometimes find is that I'm coaching a client, and let's say it's the third meeting, but they can't transition forward. I haven't done the soul work that I've assigned to them because they keep getting stuck in the same place. I might recommend that they see a therapist that's particularly surrounding that single trauma so that they could dig deeper in it, because that you need a licensed
Mm-hmm.
therapist for. So I wanted to start there because I wanted to give you just some inkling on where I stand when it comes to trauma. I believe that each of us have experienced trauma,
Yeah.
right? I see that. I know that we each handle it differently. So what I do and what I love to do is I love to take power women through change and transition. Now, I work with everybody, but I have this inkling inside of me that wants to tap into women because I want to find our greatness and help us show up differently. So I have had trauma, right? I have had change that has happened in my life. Like you said, my father passed away, who was my biggest cheerleader. I think that oftentimes we discount our trauma because we want to compare it against someone. So for instance, you, Deanna, right? You've experienced domestic violence or intimate, what did you call it now? Intimate violence?
Intimate partner
Okay, intimate
violence.
partner violence.
Intimate partner
Okay. So an
violence.
intimate,
Am I breaking up?
no, no, no. I hope not. No, no, no. I can hear you very well. So, sometimes I think
Okay, good.
sometimes I think what happens is that we want to compare. So I might say, well, my trauma isn't as big as Deanna's trauma, so it's not really trauma, and I'm just going to leave that by the wayside. Well, what happens is when we compare those things, we then push and push and push our trauma down a little bit more. But who are we to compare? Really, it is about the individual. So if I leave nothing more with everybody today, it is to recognize that our trauma is trauma. There's no big trauma, no little trauma, if you ask me, right? Some people say there's a capital T and a little t. I say there is just a T, right? There is what it is. And it's to you, whether it's big or small, you're experiencing it, right?
Right. So I was just talking about that before you got on about big trauma and little trauma. And I was saying it in the sense like you're saying it, like it's
Mm-hmm.
personal. There are sometimes things that we go through in life, and even though they are trauma and they impact us, we move through them a little easier. And then there are those times, and it doesn't matter what it is. I could move through a big thing for somebody else that for me, you know, I get it. I can do that work. I've done that work before and I can process. Whereas for somebody else, that might be different. And so, but then somebody else might be having, like I can compare it like personal traumas or relationship traumas and financial
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And where somebody else might get stuck, I might move through something easier, even if it's the same thing. That's where I say, like you said,
Yeah,
personal, where big for me, small for me, big for you,
yeah.
small for you. But still, I don't think any of us escape trauma. And I think that, and I was looking at your little triangle in your TED talk. And I think for you at the top of the triangle, and I forgot what you called it. What did you call it at the top of the
It's
triangle where
thrive.
you start?
We're thrive.
An
Oh,
interruption?
oh, momentary interruption. Yes, which is where we can choose to thrive.
Right. So you started with the momentary interruption. You kind of go back around, and then that momentary interruption. That's what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trauma is oftentimes that momentary interruption. It can come
Yes.
from outside, it can come from decisions that you've made. And so I think that what I would love to hear about from you is in these places in your life
Mm-hmm.
where you experience that
Mm-hmm.
um, way that you experienced it had to impact the way you created the even the desire to learn, to go certify, go coaching. How did those link up?
Mm-hmm. Okay. You are going in and out a little bit, but I think
Can
I
you hear me?
understood what you
Because
were saying. No, no,
okay.
no. It's
All
okay.
right, let me try something.
Okay. I
I think
think I
network
heard
is
what.
doing something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I'm just trying to link your life experiences
Mhm.
to what you do now.
Yeah, I love it. So, um, when I leaped from corporate America, I was in corporate America for almost 20 years. And when I leaped from corporate America, I started asking folks, what is it that I do really well? What's one thing you would say is a strength, which is why I start with that when I work with my clients, because there's so much power in it. And one of the things I heard consistently was, Lolita, outside of yourself, you really help people to thrive and to grow. What your words have power such that they really can lead me to open up doors that I didn't even know existed. So when I heard that, I said to myself, wow. So people started coming to me. So if you think about, what do people come to you for all the time? And then what do people say are your strengths? Right? I would start with those two. And for me, I started with that. And what people were coming to me for is they saw that I had experienced so much, we call it trauma, but so much change happening at once in my life. Yet I wasn't cracking up, right? Yet I was still able to thrive. And what they said is, I want you to help
Mm,
me. So at the time when I started my business, it was around 2017, and there was a lot of layoffs happening. And people were really struggling with what to do next, because this layoff, and now you have a big house, and now all of these things are happening. And they started coming to me. So I first created a program with several steps to help people to navigate change the way I navigate change. Well, then what happens is, as I was reflecting on self, because I started taking people through it, that's how my first book was written, actually. My first book was written because it took me from Journey Junction
Mm-hmm.
all the way to Gratitude Gateway. It helped me with clarity. It helped me through transition. And that's why today I can talk to you about what I call this transition bridge. So in navigating change, according to me, there are three aspects of this change. There is the ending, there's the middle, and there's this new beginning, right? And so it's a bridge if you take a look at it. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, when we're going through our own change, our own trauma, we could be at the ending, meaning we're still mourning what was. So for my father or for my divorce, I'm still sitting here, really sitting in that. And then someone else around my circle could be at the middle or their new beginning. But we've got to recognize where they are so that we can move effectively and efficiently. So it relates to answer your question, because as I was navigating my own change, I was still able to take people through theirs. And what they told me is that that was one of my power strengths. And I honed in on that and was able to do better.
Mm. I love that. Is there a particular point
Yeah.
where you felt that I need to be able
Mhm.
to navigate change? Now, I'll just say, let's go before you actually were doing this for other
Yeah.
people. You obviously did it for yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So describe that.
Yeah. So when I decided to sit in what I call the power of your pause, right? I remember I came home from dropping my son off, and I really recently recognized that, oh, shoot, I don't have a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. And it was a really good paycheck. And so now I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do? And I think I just was overcome by doubt and fear and anxiety and stress and overwhelm. And I remember, it's never happened before again, but I remember just being on the floor crying, this cry that I've never experienced before. I was on my hands and my knees and I was crying in the fetal position. And I remember I was home by myself in my son's room. And all of a sudden, in the midst of that screaming and crying, I remember thanking God. And I remember saying, I am so grateful. I only remember two, but I said more than that. I remember saying, I am so grateful for the tears that are coming out of my eyes, because not everybody has it. And I remember saying, I am so grateful for this roof over my head, even though I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And literally, it was in that moment that I felt this blanket of calm, is the only way I can describe it. It felt like there was a blanket being put on me from my feet all the way up to my head. And I don't know if anybody has ever experienced that, honestly. I know that it was the first time and I've never experienced it again, but it really calmed me. And in that moment of calm, I literally got up, my tears dried up. I didn't even feel the same overwhelm. I went downstairs and I wrote what I call a Be Free Creed. And literally the words just came out. And I think that's actually in part of why I do a lot of things in acronyms, because this poem or creed that I say every day, it guides my business, it guides me, is it's called the Be Free Creed. And it's just so powerful. And I wrote it in that moment. It always reminds me to sit in my most be free space. Yep.
Mm, I love that. So, and that's what, okay. And that's what I was getting at, like I know that it had to be born from
Yeah.
something, and it's almost always born from some place. Like you said, you can call it a transition, you can call it change, you can call it trauma, you can call it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever. The thing is, it's always born from some type of
Yep.
pressure. I like to think of it like a
Yep.
diamond, because that is how it's created. It is when you're put in a place where you have to
Yep.
decide, you have to actually make the choice
Yep.
to go, I am going to make this
Yep.
happen. I'm going to choose to get up
Yep.
off of the floor and move forward, or I'm going to, whatever it is. It's always this choice and it's decision. And because I like to highlight the laughter after, right? I like to highlight to people that, look, here's somebody who has gone through all the things.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to focus on the the the,
Mm-hmm.
the details of the story. We know you've gone through the things, but here you are talking about at your
Mm-hmm.
lowest. Well, maybe it wasn't your lowest, but at
One of
one
my love.
point where you felt that you needed to
Yeah.
choose, that you tapped into gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power of gratitude. So I was talking about this before you got on, and it was the 5 keys that I use in my coaching, which is forgiveness, gratitude, eliminate your negative self talk, taking care of yourself, like for real, not fluff, because now that self care has become some trendy word and it's not the real meaning. And then loving yourself, like for real, like I am in love, like being able to look at yourself in a
Absolutely.
mirror and say, I love
Yeah.
you, and mean it, and do it without sobbing, which is what I did originally,
Yeah.
right? The first time I did mirror work, it tears you down. But you mentioned gratitude, and that was on the floor crying, and you were decided to be grateful for the roof over your head and grateful for your tears,
Absolutely.
you know? And then, you know, this sense of calm. So do you feel like that calm came from maybe a spiritual
Oh,
place?
it's absolutely God, hands down and around. One of the things as you were talking about the gratitude piece is I write affirmations, and one of my affirmations in my affirmation deck says, I leap because my faith and my strength have wings that will protect my fall. And I tell you that I'm very grounded in faith, and I already explained to you about understanding your strengths, right, and asking people about your strengths. And the pure power in that is when you stand upon a foundation of your strengths in your faith, then they will have wings that protect your fall, right? It's all about gratitude. It's all about whatever your faith is and standing in it and surrendering, quite frankly, and acknowledging. And I think in that moment, that was the moment of pure surrender for me. Like that is the definition of surrender. I didn't know what else to do. And I literally said, God, I'm giving it up to you. And I say that, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never experienced that there. So yes, it absolutely was spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think that people discredit faith or spirituality to some degree, and they shy away from talking about that aspect.
Yeah.
And regardless of now, I'm God fearing as well, but regardless of how you believe, um, that all of us have that spiritual
Yes.
need, and we should be willing to recognize it and be able to surrender to it. And I think that's a huge I think it's a huge point that everybody should take home with them. Like, I don't tell you what to believe, but know that there is a bigger thing out there, and purpose, and something that you were created for. And when you step into that, like you said, your strengths, your power, what you were created for, you are clearly doing what you were
Mhm.
created to do. Like, I don't think that you, and maybe I'm wrong. Did you feel that when you were in corporate America, or is that truly why you left corporate America, because you had this calling that you knew that you were created for something else,
Oh,
and now you're in
That's
that?
that's such a great question. When I left corporate, I didn't know I was going to become an entrepreneur. I didn't have any examples of entrepreneurship. My family is not entrepreneur, so I didn't leave to start my business. Actually, I left because my values didn't align with the company that was coming in to acquire my company. That's why I said no. So when I said no, it was really because the opportunity that they provided me was a great opportunity for me to go do. It was in a different city that I didn't want to go to, and the value to the company I didn't align with. So I owned my yes, but I respected my no, and I chose to leave without knowing where I was going to go. And, some people don't think that's smart, but for me, my values and my core were at the root of who I am. So I wouldn't be happy there. And then I had a son, and I wasn't willing to put him in a situation where I knew I was starting out unhappy. So for me, I went on my mini retirement, as I call it. And then I said I was going to go back to corporate. And that was my plan. And while I was sitting there, I recognized like there is
Mm-hmm.
more. Because I was sitting there and I got to
Mm-hmm.
pause, I had people coming to me asking me things. I said to myself, well, do I really want to pick back up the stress that I didn't even know that I had? Because now I felt this freedom. I felt this amazing freedom. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. So now what do I do? And that's when I started asking questions, and hence came my self discovery. And it was amazing. And I love that you said forgiveness as one of your pillars, because forgiveness is so key. Inside my book, I have this forgiveness freeway, and it is like a freeway. You could be traveling it and you have to choose which way you're going to go, right? Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel like now you're more into what you were meant to
Absolutely.
be doing than you were when you were working at corporate America? And that's kind of where I was going with that. Is it not that you chose the course that you're on specifically straight from that, but that because you held to your values and because you surrendered, you were able to step into what you were made for.
Yeah.
Like you're clearly made for speaking and writing. I have never been coached by you,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard you speak and I have read your book and your way with words is
Oh,
incredible.
thank you.
It just to me it's so inspiring, and you know that I did you I don't know if you read the whole poem, but you read a lot of the poem of Dear Forgotten Me on one of your shows here on
Yeah.
Fireside.
Yeah.
Um, and you read that and it touched me. So I went and got your book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do a live on Instagram every week. And then
Yeah.
that
Oh,
Friday, I had shared the poem with the
yeah.
girl that I do the live with. Now, this girl has experienced her own traumas, right? Um, she she found out her mom had cancer. Within 3 weeks, her mom was dead. That's how fast it went. She
Yeah.
had the BRCA1 gene or whatever it is. It went very fast. And then within 3 weeks of that, her father died. Technically her stepfather, but the person who raised her father. And then her grandfather, who was going to be the one that was there for her for all of this, a month later died.
Oh,
So
wow.
she lost everybody within 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was devastating.
Yeah.
And she went into a really dark place. And if you've been through that and you've had what you would consider a big trauma, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You really do sometimes feel like you lose yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And so when you read that, because I relate to that as well, going through um, the domestic violence, we'll just call it that since nobody knows what IPV is, going through the domestic violence, coming out of that, having a relative step in, an in law, so I wasn't related to him, but step in to help out, and then introduce
Mhm.
drugs and molest my daughter. And
Wow.
then, you feel like, okay, um, who am I? What happened? How did this happen? You know? And for so long, I didn't know me anymore.
Mhm.
And then you read your poem and then we discussed that,
Yeah.
that it was very I don't know, it was the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
I don't even
And
know how else to say it. So
mhm.
it was beautiful. And so of course I've read a lot of them since then because I looked at it. I mean, there's just so much in it. Adversity was one I read earlier today, because I do feel like, in the climate that we live in, and I've read them all. Dear Black Girl, Dear Black Boy. I think all of this stuff is you guys is there's generational trauma. There's so much, and we're just barely starting to learn and wake up to all of this stuff, you know. Um, and so I feel like that was so profound to me, and I think that people really need to understand that it's okay, like you said, to sit in that pause,
Mhm.
that you don't have to rush through it,
Mhm.
but that you can allow it to wash over you and give yourself a minute,
Absolutely.
regardless.
Yep.
And the forgiveness part, and I was talking to us about a little bit about this before you popped on too. The forgiveness part of this, for me, it came first. For a lot of people, gratitude might come first. For me, I worked an entire year trying to get to gratitude. I had that concept and the notion that you have to be grateful for everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I get that. and there is something to be learned, and there's something, and there's growth in that. The problem was, in this situation that I described to you, I was having a really hard time being grateful for it, you know?
Yep.
So what I started to work on was forgiveness, and doing all this research and recognizing what true forgiveness is and how it's not absolution, right? I don't have the ability to absolve somebody from their wrongdoing. I don't need to condone their wrongdoing. I don't need to justify what happened. The forgiveness was for me, and releasing the anger, the bitterness, resentment, and freeing, like you said, when you were on that floor and you finally surrendered. I feel like that's what forgiveness is. The freedom you felt allowed you to run downstairs and write a creed that you live by still today.
Absolutely.
And I felt like that with forgiveness, but it really turned out to be that I had to forgive myself.
Yes.
You know, I mean, there was parts of me that said I didn't leave early enough. I didn't protect my children. I didn't, all these things. And how it was all tied up in beliefs and shame and guilt and all the things, you know, that you need to be able to release. So let me ask you something, Lolita. Would you be willing to share your Be Free Creed with us? Is that something you just know?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I say it every day.
I
I don't know it.
I know you've said it before. I've heard you say it, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's okay.
But I would love to you to share it. And then if it's okay, we can ask some people to see if they have any questions, if they wanted to pop
Absolutely.
up.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
happy to share it. This is what I wrote at the lowest moment in my life when everything felt that there was chaos. It goes, believe in your strengths and open your mind to now explore. Expect moments to have meaning, which will propel you to soar. Face your fears head on, yet hold them at bay. Then release what is not progressing you on today. Experience the unexpected, which you would normally let pass by, and then embrace the renewed you who is now free to fly. Be free. And I always end it with I am Lolita Emmanuel Walker, because
I
I
love
think
it.
that there's extreme power, as you said, with mirror work and really looking at yourself in the eyes and declaring who it is that you are. How do you want to show up, and how are you showing up? Because then when you have clarity, when you add that to confidence, then it equals like the increased commitment of how you walk, talk, and behave every day. So like you, when I first began mirror work, literally you look at yourself in the mirror and nothing but tears came down my eyes. Because how often do we look at ourselves, right? And let our guards down? It's so powerful.
Right. And I think that most of us, especially I think for women, we look at ourselves in the mirror to
Put on.
change ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're putting something on. We look in the mirror. So like women might spend more time in the mirror than men or children. But when we are spending that time in the mirror, it's nitpicking this mark, it's covering it up, putting on eyelashes, it's doing something with your hair. It's all these other things.
Yeah.
And it's not just looking yourself in the eye and saying, I am beautiful. So my first mantra was, I'm okay. I am powerful. I am more than enough. I am me, the only one, and I am beautiful and free. And it was something, you know, I used it so much because I didn't believe it at first, but I used it so much that now, even though I say it all the time, I've had to create additional mantras to break through other limiting beliefs, because this is no longer a limiting belief for me. I still say it because it's my core. And, you know, it was something that I needed to get me through. And so therein also lies the power of mantras, right? And being being able to use those to maybe break some of those limiting beliefs and eliminate some of that negative self-talk. So I don't know if there's anyone down here. I want to just, call out to the audience. We have Lisa, Robert, Dave and Sam. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Yvonne, which I was just on her show. Beautiful show. Would love to chat with you, Yvonne, because I would love to collaborate on something. And I think Bad Bunny, yeah, Bad Bunny. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. Here in the audience, if any of you guys have questions, um, I would love for you guys to just hit the plus sign, invite yourself on up to the stage. I would be glad to add you. Ask Lolita any questions you might have, or me, or join the discussion. Share with us some of your stories. As a matter of fact, I think Sam, I had interviewed her on one of my earlier shows, and she is another one that just has shown tremendous strength. But I'm calling you out, Sam and Dave, and you guys. I don't know. You might still be at work. I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're Eastern time. No, no, y'all are Central time. You should be home. So yeah, but anyway, I'm calling them out because after her trauma and the things that she went through, and Dave had his own stuff, but they found each other and they are a beautiful couple, and they do the Married Couple podcast on Wednesday nights. And so you guys should go check them out. It's funny, and it's heartfelt, and it's just, all the things. Yvonne, tell me what you have to say here. Welcome to the
Hello,
stage.
everybody.
Do you want
Can
to
you
come
hear
on?
me?
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you want to come on camera? I know you were just on a show, so you surely are camera
Yeah,
ready.
let's do
All
it.
right.
Let's do it. We just
I
why not?
like to I like to invite people if they want.
I love
I'll
it.
take it.
There you
Hi, how
go.
are you?
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me
Hey,
on.
you okay?
I got in a little bit later because my show went over a little bit. It was my first episode on Fireside of Survivor Strong
Oh,
podcast. So,
welcome to the
I went about.
party.
Thank you. I had technical difficulties. My teleprompter thing went out on me, and I ran over 15 minutes. So, hey, it was perfect, right?
Right. Perfect.
It's fireside. It's fine. No rules.
Well, I'm loving your earrings. That
Oh,
that just brought it all together.
thank
There
you
you
so
go.
much. So, I'm actually very excited because, Deanna, um, you're going to be a guest on my podcast next week. I'm very excited.
Right, the 27th, right?
27th, yes.
Yeah.
Lolita, I haven't been able to listen to the entire episode, but I just have to say I absolutely love your mantra.
Oh,
That was just like, ah, yes. It was so good, and it's really inspirational because as survivors and the trauma that we've been through, we all have a story. We all can heal from it, and we just have to find that path for us. And so reminding ourselves that we are loved, we're important, our feelings matter, our story matters, our history matters, just really important for that healing. And so I just love it so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited that you came up. It's so interesting because in my first book, I talk about this Be Free Creed, but it's called Be Free Boulevard. And it gives a little bit of soul work about how to tap into your most be free space and understand where that is, right? Oftentimes, and I'll share it with you guys. But for me, it's so important because we know that we experience trauma to have and understand where our most be free space is. So this is somewhere, a place that you can go and you just feel your most free. It's a space where you go that you can close your eyes and it's literally you relax, your shoulders are down. If you're a mom, you typically don't have your children around or your maid around. It's somewhere where you can be your most creative space. So I ask everyone here, do you know where your most be free space is? So for me, my most be free space is literally around water and trees. If I'm around water and trees, like my body, I can feel the shift. But what is it about the water and the trees that does that for me? So you got to dig deep into your most be free space. So for me, it is hearing the sway of the trees. For me, it is hearing the ocean or the water or the pool just make the water noise. Some people, it's not that noise. That noise is irritating. I have a client who's like, I don't want to hear that noise. But what it is for me is actually looking at the waves. So what I say to that is, now, how do you get a piece of that into your everyday? So although I can't be in Jamaica sipping on a Mai Tai every single day, I could if I
Bye
purchase a
bye.
bottle here, right? But
Right.
what I could do, though, is turn on spa radio. I could turn on spa radio on Pandora to give me the sounds that I need. I could buy a sound machine to give me the sounds that I need. So, in the places and spaces where I feel my most chaotic and I know that I don't thrive in that space, I could go there and I can listen to that. I do know that I can choose to go to break up the monotony of my day and walk outside to my backyard and see the trees that so bring me joy. My point is when you know your most be free space and you dig into what is it about that, you can bring a piece of that into your everyday. And I'll tell you, it will shift your life. It will. So my client who doesn't like the sounds but knows that it is the look of it, she went and I talked to her and she went and got this huge painting. It's absolutely gorgeous because it shows her in depth. It has this feel to it, like this 3D feel, but just this texture. So she can not only touch it, but she can see it, the ocean moving. The
Yeah.
beauty of that is it takes her to her most be free space. So that in those times where you feel like I can't get out, when you feel like you're at your lowest, you could really literally close your eyes and place yourself in that space. And there's pure power in it, right? It's pure power in it.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I
And
thought you were about to say something.
it's cool. So, oh, I'm sorry. I think we're break. it might be me. I don't know.
You're breaking up.
A little bit of a delay. Yeah. So, here, Yvonne, do you have a place, come to mind? You-
Ooh, you're breaking up a little bit. I didn't quite hear that question.
You have a place that you are breaking up, but she said, do you have a place that is your most be free space that you can think of?
Oh, oh,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
Something that
For me,
comes to mind for you.
oh, for me, it's music. It's music. I love to sing. I love to dance. I love all types of music, all genres of music. I listen to music depending on my mood. I listen, just there's something for me, there's something about the rhythm of music. For whatever reason, God blessed me with really good rhythm. And I have had that my entire life. And I think that's just because it's like, it's not just music. My body's responding to the sounds, the vibrations, the tones, the level, the octaves. My body is reacting to all of that. And certain music will give me chills, and certain songs that I sing give me chills. And so for me, it's music, any type of music where I can sing or dance or just sit and sip on some coffee, because I'm not a drinker, but I'll sip on some coffee. Yeah. Um, but yeah, definitely music.
that
And painting my artwork.
Oh, that's awesome. I wish I
Yeah.
was. I'm not that artistic when it comes to arts, but I say if you guys kind of nailed the combination of what I love. I love the beach. So, and it probably has to do with the ocean sounds. It has to do with sand. It has to do with texture. But I also love dancing. So I love music, but I don't know the words to any songs. I'm terrible. Like I know the chorus, but other than that,
Yeah.
forget about it. I don't know. Even when I was a kid, because I was always so much more into the music. And the reason why is I think in choreography, because I danced my whole life and tap dancing is like my thing. I keep my tap shoe under my desk and
That's
I'm not in my office right now because we're in the back in the sound room right now, but I do keep my tap shoes under my desk right now to this day, and we'll just put them on my feet and tap under my desk while I'm working. It just, whatever. I create my own music
I
like
love that.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's the same thing as like listening to music and kind of grooving while you're working. You're listening to music, and it's the same thing, tapping under you.
yeah,
You know. So
yeah.
so yeah, I think the
It's not
ocean and
quite
music and
acceptable
art.
at work, but
Yeah. Yeah. But they're all like
at home it's okay.
internet. Right. but it's international. It can reach anybody, all three of those things. And I think that's probably why those are probably some of the most common things that people will say that, probably gardening and, anything involving the earth or, digging your hands into the dirt. But yeah.
I think the beauty is, how often are you bringing music into your day?
Every day.
When you're triggered, do you go to music automatically? And you seem like you're in a great place to be able to do that, but not many people know there must be free space. Not many people bring it into their lives because their lives are so busy. We are an on a go type of society. But the key is that when we choose to pause, and it sounds like both of you guys are already doing that work, but when you choose to pause or when you're frustrated or agitated, when you can go to your most free space and not only picture it, but for you, really feel the rhythm. For you, Deanna, putting on those tap shoes and just tapping under the desk because nobody has to know. The key is not acknowledging it, like knowing it and embracing it, but really acting in it so that now you can bring that into your day. So now you can thrive intentionally, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. If anybody else wants to come up at the last minute, you guys, you only have a few more seconds left. We're going to wrap this up. But I want to thank you, Lolita, for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. I want people to know that I do have your website in the fortune cookie because I didn't know what else to share, so I shared your website, yours and mine. And so that is in the cookie. So you guys can go there. She's got a beautiful website. You can find her podcast. You can find her TED Talk. You can find her coaching, anything you want. Go get her book. I don't have your first book.
The audio book is out.
The audio of
book. Yeah.
Did you do the?
Yeah.
Did you read it?
Oh, that's the best.
When an author does their own book. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so I'll be getting that because if you've never heard her speak, her reading her own poems is going to be the best. So she has a book called Can We Talk? That's her latest book. I don't know the name of your first book.
Oh, it's called The Intersection of You and Change because we each find ourselves at an intersection of us and change, right? We talked about that today. But you know what? You can listen to a snippet of the audiobook at lolitawalker.com. I have, and then I think at most audio places you can listen to a snippet, but on my website, I also have not only the snippet of Dear Silence, which you can listen to for free, but I also have a download of Dear Sadness. Which you can, you already have the book, so you don't need that because you have it in print. But for those that don't have it, you can just download that piece right there. But it's pretty cool because there's music behind my words. It's very emotional. You can listen to it, Deanna.
Is there music behind it on the whole audiobook?
All 44 letters and poems. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to get that too.
It's on sale.
So definitely.
Let me tell you where it's on sale. I didn't even know it was on sale. So it's on sale I saw it today at Apple. It's on sale. And then it's on sale at this place called Chirp. They're both $12.99. I think actually Chirp might be $11.99 and you don't need a subscription for it. But they make their own prices, I suppose. So
I guess so.
Oh yeah. Well, I subscribe to Audible, so I already pay for it, so I'll just get it on my Audible. But so because there's so many of them in there that I truly love. I did read through pretty much all of it, I think. I've skipped around, so I don't know if I might have missed one.
But it's intended to do that. You're doing it exactly right. It's intended for you to just go to the table of contents and whatever your spirit needs for you to read it in that moment. Honestly, that's what it's intended for.
Right. And I love that you can find it. It's in alphabetical order, the table of contents. So it's the poems are arranged alphabetically. So if I'm feeling a certain sort of way, or I go, oh, I wonder if she wrote something that might be about this. Oh, look, that's it. That'll work. And I'll go read it, like Dear Oppressor or Dear Peace. And I just, anyway, just go get the book. Whatever. I feel like I'm a little walking billboard now.
Oh my God.
But it's good. But anyway, so I want to say thank you for being here. I don't know if there's any last thoughts. For me, the things that I've really gained out of this was understanding that the intersection, the transition, that's where the magic is.
Yes.
Understanding that, taking a pause in that intersection and really appreciating the fact that right now is a time for transition, and that you can move through that transition and you can process through that transition. You can do it in gratitude. It will create freedom. And to me, that was like my big gain from this. This is, by the way, the International Month of Hope. No, not international, national. The National Month of Hope. It's the National Month of a lot this month because sexual abuse awareness this month.
Yes.
Poetry.
There's a whole lot of things. Yes, but I decided, even though, I come from this trauma and this intimate partner violence, I really wanted to focus on the hope because I feel like trauma is allowing people to tap into that, and hope is such an integral part. And I feel like working in this and the things that I got out of this today was in the transition and in that space, being able to take that pause and knowing that you do have whatever it is you need in you, the power. You don't need anybody else to empower you. You already have the power. You need to claim it or reclaim it. Um,
Yes.
that is how people, quote unquote, empower you, is they're helping you tap back into your own power. And so I feel like that's how I feel from this talk today. So it's beautiful.
One of the
So
things I wanted to leave folks with tonight, too, outside of what we talked about, thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate it. It was very nice to meet each and every one of you all who are listening in intently, and you too, Yvonne, for coming up on the stage. Thank you. One of the things I'd love to leave folks with is another affirmation that I have, which is, I am the greatness that others have yet to see. Right? I am the greatness that others have yet to see. And sometimes that other is us. Sometimes we don't see the greatness that is inside of us, but recognize that you are power, right? And everybody might not see it right now, and it's their loss. Continue to walk in the power that is you. Continue to walk in your strengths and your faith, like we talked about today. Consistency is key. There's always somebody that's looking at you. There's always somebody that's willing to walk beside of you. There's always somebody that wants to hold your back, and they just don't know how. So keep on walking in it and leaving your breadcrumbs. So that's what I want to leave folks with today.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful.
All right. So with that, I'm going to say we're gonna play out. My husband does music, and so instead of Waitbot, I like to just play one of his songs on our way
Right.
out. If I can get my iPad to respond. If you guys want to hang around, I'm not gonna play 5 minutes. I'll just play it for a little while so you guys can hang out and take advantage of the fortune cookie. I like to tell everybody when I end my show that I see you, and especially those guys
Oh,
right here on the stage, and you are beautiful. Okay.
yay.
Thank
All
you.
right. So,
You
with
are
that
too.
being said, if you guys want to head off of camera, that's up to you. I'm going to turn on the music. Thanks, Lolita. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. All right, I'll turn off. Oh, I don't even know how.
I'll get you.
Okay, thanks.
We see we all got each other.
Right.
I sit alone, sleeping, breathe silent moment, but I can feel if you're gone. Sometimes I sit alone, listen to you on the phone, but don't you know I don't speak until you're home. Baby, don't you know I hate every time you go. I set up a few designs that mess up between the lines, that left with the demons I grew along the way. With the laugh you slay, Sometimes I sit alone, wishing you would just go, but don't you know I would never let you know. Baby, don't you know I've got nowhere left to go.
Okay, guys, thanks again.